Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 3. This is my third testimony that I will be sharing with you all. I'm just so thankful for all the messages, text messages, subscribers that have reached out to me. I'm just so thankful. It's actually been a good turnout. Something that I never thought would happen, but thanks to God, He's doing His purpose. He's reaching out to people. And that's all I ever wanted. Not to get anything from it, but just to bless somebody in the moment with my testimony to touch your life. So today, I will be talking about the time that I met a person that literally was the devil. My daughter was like, "Mom, you shouldn't share that testimony yet." I said, "No, it has to come out." So one day, I was in my addiction and I was homeless. And I remember moving into Chinatown at Fresno. So whoever's familiar with Chinatown or Fresno, there's restaurants, there's like Gugas, there's Ho Ho Cafe. All those buildings right there have apartments on top of the stores. So I lived on top of the Peacock. Peacock back in the day used to be an old store, I guess department store. So in my addiction, I didn't really have money, so all I could afford was $200 rent. It was a studio, but it was the Peacock store, and then it was like maybe 12 apartments on top. So you got to take this one hallway up, stairs, turn, and I was a very last apartment. It was PG&E, everything included. You had to share bathrooms with people. At this moment, I didn't even care because I needed a place, and it beats the streets, right? So I couldn't live with my mom because I wasn't abiding by her rules. So I just went on my own, and I ended up renting the room from my close friend. Her girlfriend had went to jail, so she's like, "You want to take over my apartment since you don't have a place? You can rent it." And I go, "Yeah, I need a place," because I was here and there on couches and sleeping everywhere. And so I didn't have a stable home. So I took the opportunity. But I wasn't even in my right mind. Like, I wouldn't even think that I would be living down there. But I was just so messed up that was a home for me. Like, that's how messed up I was. It was a home for me. So I remember one day I was outside in front of the Peacock, which is a store, and my little girls were playing bicycles. And I was out there with my boyfriend. At that time, it was Ralphie. My boyfriend was named Ralph, and we were out there just chilling. It was because it was a one studio. The kids didn't have nowhere to play, and they were over. I think they were with my mom, but I had them that day. And they had came over there riding bikes and playing outside because there was no yard, so we had to go to the front of the store, and they were like playing on the sidewalk. And so I remember one time me and Ralphie were there in the front, and we were hanging out with the kids, and this guy comes by, very nice looking guy. My God, he was his physique, his looks, that I looked twice like, "What are you doing down here?" He comes up to me. He goes, "Hi," and I go, "Hi." He goes, "Do you know anybody that wants to buy a laptop?" And I said, "Hey, I might want to buy a laptop because I don't think I owned one." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm selling. I have 3 of them." He goes, "And I'm selling them and for $100. I go, "Well, let me get your number and then I'll call you." And yeah, that sounds good. I'll buy one. He's like, "For sure." So he texts me. He gave me his number, and I gave him mine. And I go, my name's Michelle. I go, I'll call you when I get some money and I'll buy one from you. I go, I really do need a laptop. He's like, okay, sounds good. Let's do it. I said, all right. After that, I never saw him again until one day, me and the kids have went to my friend Baba's house. She lived around the corner. So this was 2 weeks later. He comes around the corner and I see him. And I go, that guy looks familiar. And so he comes up to me, he goes, hey, what happened? You never called. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I haven't had the money. He's like, oh. He goes, so how you been? I go, I'm good. And it was very odd to me that he wanted to talk to me. Like, he was just in conversation. Like, when he passed by my friend's house, he was in the neighborhood. It was close to that neighborhood where I live. So when he was walking by, he was walking his 2 pit bulls. And when he was walking, it was crazy how he stopped and he talked to me for like 20 minutes. And he started telling me things like, so are you with your boyfriend? So I go, we're having problems. Because the day I met him, I was with Ralph. I go, we're having problems. And he goes, oh, okay. And he goes, yeah, that's right. And then he said one thing. He said, you were married before. And I said, yeah, I was married before. He goes, and you got 2 rings. I see 2 rings. So I got a ring from my husband and I got a ring from my other boyfriend. It wasn't married. And he's like, yeah, I see 2 rings. I go, how do you know? He goes, I just know these things. And I'm like, okay, but you don't even know me. Like, how do you know I had 2 rings? And he's not lying. I really had 2 rings. I got one from my marriage and I got one from my boyfriend before. So in those times, I was like, wow, how does he know I had 2 rings, right? So then we started talking. He goes, hey, when you want to come over one day and party? And I go, yeah. He goes, well, tonight. Come over tonight. And I go, well, my boyfriend's at the house and I got my kids. And he goes, well, just come over. Don't tell him you're going to go. Tell me you're going to go come back over here or something. Come kick it. He goes, I got whatever you want to drink. I got whatever you want to smoke. He goes, just come. I just want company. And I said, okay. So at that time, I was really in my addiction. And I was like, okay. So then I tell my friend Baba, I'm like, Baba, I'm going to go with this guy tonight. It's weird. How did he know where you live? Like, I haven't seen him in about 2 weeks. And he seems like he's really interested, but he seems like a cool guy. So I'm just going to go hang out. I go, but what tripped me out is that he knew in my lifetime, I've gotten 2 rings, which is my marriage ring and from my boyfriend. Because he took off my boyfriend. The reason why I remembered that is because he took off his mom, he bought his mom a ring. He took it off his mom and put it on my hand and asked me to be his girlfriend. And his mom accepted me and let him do that. He goes, Mom, I want that ring off your finger. I'm going to give it to her. So that's why I knew. I'm like, how does he know? Anyways, I'm not thinking about it, whatever. I end up going home. I end up putting the kids to sleep. And Ralph was there with me. About 11 o'clock, I get a text from him. And he says, are you going to come over? I'm waiting for you. And I said, yeah, hold on. I'm putting everybody to sleep. So it came about 11:30. I snuck out my apartment. Ralph was asleep. The girls were asleep. I closed the door. I locked it. I took my keys. I snuck out. I ended up going to his house. So I lived on the Peacock Apartments. He lived by the Food Fish Company. If you're going to know Chinatown familiar, he lived right across the street, the fish market place. There's a corner and there's another it used to be, I can't remember the name of that clothing store. He lived on the top. So he sent me the address. I go over there walking. It was 11:30 at night. I had no business walking that late. I went over there, I knocked at the door. He goes, come in. I go, all right. So when I get there, I go up these flight of stairs. It's just me and him. He puts on, he goes, what kind of music you like? Spanish. And I go, yeah, Spanish. And he puts on my favorite song. So my favorite Spanish song from years ago is El Columpio by Los Ligueros del Norte. So that was my song. He put it on. Then he had a knife. So he took out the knife and he threw it on a wall. And there was a lot of knives. Like he was like a hunter or something. So he threw it on the wall. And there was a lot of holes from the knife. And he just said, oh, I just had it for protection. But I know you don't have nothing. But I just carry it. So then he puts on my song. He offers me a drink. He offers me drugs. We do them together. We're talking. I'm talking to him, having a good time, just kicking it. He's asking me about my boyfriend. How long have I been with him? And I told him. And he goes, oh. And so one thing led to another. We drinking and drinking. I told him I have to go use the restroom. Do you have a restroom? So what was weird to me was that when I went to the restroom, it was a long hallway, and there was a bunch of doors, like a door here, door here, door here, door here. And he goes, yeah, it's way at the back. And at that time, I wasn't scared of anything, but it was odd to me that he was in that building by himself, and all those doors were shut. And it was like a good long hallway to the bathroom. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go use your restroom. So I go and I'm looking around like that. I'm just tripping out. And he goes, the bathroom's that last door. And I'm like, okay. So I went to the restroom, went pee real quick, washed my hands, came out. I peed so fast. I don't know. I just felt weird all of a sudden when I went down that hallway and I seen all them doors. I go, something's not right. If I would have just stayed in the little apartment where he had it, I would have been okay, because I was just going to be like a kickback spot. But when I walked down that hallway, I'm like, who's in these rooms? So then I come out of the bathroom and I go back to him and I say, hey, I said, why don't you rent these rooms out? That'll be a lot of rental income for you. He goes, oh no, I tried that. It won't work out. I'm going, there's like 12 rooms here or more. I go, that's good income. He goes, no, I like living by myself, he said. I'm like, oh, okay. So when I say this guy was fine, he was handsome. I even said, what are you doing with me? Like, I was very self-conscious about myself. And I had asked him, I said, you're very nice looking. Why are you single? And he's like, I don't know. I just don't have a girlfriend. And I'm like, oh. So we just started, an hour went by. We're talking, singing, drinking. And then he tried to kiss me. So when he kissed me, I was kissing him. And then he pushed me back on the bed and I laid back like that. And he was literally trying to have sex with me. And when I opened my eyes, okay, because I was in the moment, I was kissing him. When I opened my eyes, his face was a devil. I looked at him because I was in the moment, right? And so everything changed. Like the room, the TV, it just went like staticky. Like it went shh, shh. My song wasn't on. It was the energy in the room was demonic. When I laid down and I looked up at him, he went like this to me. He looked at me and he said, his eyes were red, his face was changing, and he was going, instead of like, being like romantic with me, he was going, and his face turned like the devil. And I got sober so fast that I pushed him. I pushed him off me. He goes, what are you doing? And I said, I'm sorry, but I can't do this. I can't have sex with you. I said, my boyfriend's at home with my kids. And he goes, and his face was like evil. He turned from that fine guy to this evil, demonic devil face. And I was like, in my mind, I said, I'm going to do reverse psychology. If I fight him, I'm not going to get out of here. And if I did not know how to pray so hard in my mind, that's what saved me. So he's like, you think you're going to leave me? He goes, you think you're going to leave me like this? And I go, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I go, I love my boyfriend. He goes, your boyfriend don't even love you. Your boyfriend is over you. He's cheating on you with your friend. And do you know that that was true? At that time, Ralphie was cheating on me with my friend Irene, and I knew about it. But I was cheating on him too, but not with his friend. We were actually cheating on each other, but he told me, your boyfriend doesn't even love you. He's cheating with you, with your friend. You know the girl that lives in the cuddle sack by him? He's cheating with her. And I said, I don't care. I love him. I love him, and I can't do this to him. He goes, well, if I kill you right now, nobody's gonna know where you're at. And I just started praying in my head. I didn't pray out loud. I was just like, and I go, don't do that. And I grabbed his hand, like put my hand on his hand. And I said, don't do that, because I have kids and I have to go home to them. He goes, well, if you cared about your kids, you wouldn't have came. And I said, I know, but I just wanted to have a good time. But I thought I could cheat on my boyfriend, but I can't.